Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Time to put this bathroom back together, starting with the corner sink plumbing removal. Cutting furring strips here for the studs. The tile on the bottom half of the bathroom had drywall and concrete backerboard on there, so it was needed to fur it out to have the half-inch drywall made up with the top half of the walls. Just putting in a nailer for the plumbing supply lines, elbows. Hooking up the drain, putting in the PEX pipe going down to the basement. Cutting out for the light switch. Using my pry bar there on the floor to hoist up the drywall to get it tight to the bottom of the top half. That piece of insulation was a little bit beaten up, so I'm just replacing it here on that exterior wall. More furring strips. Beating in that piece, you can see in the bottom right hand corner I had a little bit of a blowout, but it was covered by the baseboard, so no problem. Just gluing up the drain there. And notching this piece of drywall coming up to fit around the rough plumbing there. So the drywall's in. And just sanding down the top half here, obviously. Despite what you think about, you could get all the the wallpaper adhesive off. There's always some residue left, so just sanding it down best as I can. And I'll follow up with it's called Guards. It's a clear sealer. If you put the paint onto that wall with that wallpaper adhesive, it gets activated by the water and will make for a mess with your paint. So this sealer dries in about 30 minutes and then you're good to go. And while that's drying, I'm laying down the pergo. Had planned on beating up that tile and replacing it with tile, but it was attached directly to the subfloor, and if I started sledgehammering that up, or even jackhammering it, it would have cracked the tile in the entryway there under the tarp, so just decided to go with the pergo. And it matches the rest of the first floor. It's got some oak hardwoods, which you can just see in the right hand corner there. Just using some paper to cover it up so I can keep working on the walls, taping the joints here. using Durabond 45 just so I can put more than one coat on in a day, keep the project moving. Just creasing the tape in the corners and installing it. Putting on the second coat on those horizontal seams. Second coating the corners. Using an 8-inch knife there. And while that dries, I'm putting on the first coat of sealing paint as the sealer has dried. Corners again, third coat on the horizontal seams now. Cutting in the walls with primer. And there was not an outlet in the bathroom, so just using a remodel box and putting in a GFCI just tied into the box for the vanity light. And sanding down the walls again after I put the sealer. Block sanding the joints where I use the Durabond. And now I'm cutting in the walls with the primer, sorry. All primed up there, still wet. And cutting in the walls with the linen white. Rolling on the first coat there. You can see it's similar to the hallway color, front hall color. And now using the baseboard install, coping the corners. And I put the vanity in temporarily so I could measure for the baseboard. Then you can see I've taken the vanity back out to finish the install. Baseboard's in, so I'm painting all the trim before I second coat the walls. so I don't need to worry about getting any of the trim paint on the walls. And I don't need to cut in tight to the flooring as I'm putting quarter round down. Vanity and sink are not yet installed, just putting it in there to check a few things. So I pre-paint the quarter round and use a pin nailer so I don't have any nail holes to fill. And don't need to worry about cutting in tight to the floor. So once I've installed the quarter round, then I just put a second coat of trim paint on and get close to the wall and close to the floor, but don't need to get all the way to the edge. That way we keep nice clean lines. Then here you can see on the left hand side of the quarter round I use a little return piece so you don't have a cut end on that exposed side. It's a nice little touch. I'm wiring up the GFCI, and you'll see I'm putting it in upside down, and now I'm putting it right side up. Hooking up the supply lines, the shutoffs for the vanity. Had to use a thicker wax ring here for the toilet. Now the vanity's going in. Marking the studs, screwing it into the wall, and now hooking up the faucet to the sink before I drop the sink in. A lot easier to do it this way. Silicone the sink on. Didn't cover up that old vanity hole since I was doing a permanent install on this mirror. And my battery died, so I couldn't film the light install, the towel ring install, or the toilet paper holder install. But that's your finished product. Small bathroom, but turned out pretty nice. And we'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.